So tonight's project is to make up some more battery cables for Floresca. Um, at the end of last summer, I got caught down in Cornwall, or rather, Floresca got stuck down in Cornwall, and I was going to sail her back. Had a weekend or day set out to do it, and got down to Cornwall, and she wouldn't start. She'd been sat for about a month, um, and the engine there wasn't enough power in the battery to get the engine started. And so, I've been looking a little bit over the winter at the electrical system, and it's got a solar panel on it on Floresco. It's only 20 watt one, little one, um, but it's wired directly to the battery. And I thought I'd put in a solar regulator. There's no regulator on it; it's wired directly into the battery. And when the sun was shining recently, I put the a voltage meter on it, and it was kicking out 17 to 18 volts, which is a bit high for battery charging. And of course, when the battery's full, the solar panel doesn't know it, and it keeps trying to push juice into it, and it can overcharge and damage the battery. So I thought I would put a solar regulator on it. Now I've bought, this was about £50. I've bought an MPPT solar regulator, which is quite a clever regulator rather than a pulse width modifier one, which kind of pulses in energy. This one it has like a transformer in it, so when the voltage gets too high, it will step it down and increase the current and reduce the voltage, so you don't get over voltage, and you can get nice slow charging, and the battery can absorb as much of the energy as possible. So I should get more charge into my battery, or rather my battery should charge quicker for the same amount of sun energy using this controller. And it shouldn't overcharge, because when this determines that the voltage in the batteries is enough, it should lose the heat, lose the electricity, turn it into heat, and push it out through these cooling fins. So it's all good all round. So the next thing to look at was how I was going to wire it into the boat. And the two batteries on Floresca, I've got a start battery and a house battery, and they were just connected as one battery bank, which is it's the cheapest, quickest, easiest thing to do. But it does mean that if I have all the lights and electronics going overnight, nav lights and anchor light, charging iPads and all of that, it's coming off both of the batteries. So in the morning, the start battery voltage may have dropped. And again, I could find myself in the situation where I don't have the required juice to keep it going. So I want to isolate the batteries. I also want to do that because I want the house battery to be connected to the bilge pump at all times. So if there's any water coming into the boat, through rain or condensation, then it won't lie around in the bottom of the boat. The engine got a bit furred up at the end of its month down sat at the top of the creek in Cornwall. So to avoid that, I want to get the decent house battery connection, full-time connection to the automatic electronic bilge pump. So to do that, I've bought one of these, and this is a funky little thing. This is the clever bit here. This is a digital voltage signal relay. And what this will do is this will be connected to both the solar panel, or the solar regulator. So power from that will come to this, as will the alternator. And when the start battery is on, the alternator will put power to the start battery, and then when it reaches a certain voltage and it's charged, the digital sensitive relay will spot that and make a connection in the back, so that the house battery and the start battery will then become one unit and start getting charged. So the start battery gets charged first, and then the house battery, which is exactly what I want. And this yellow one will stay in the off position. This is an emergency parallel, so if there's something wrong with my start battery, I can connect them in parallel, and then use the house battery to start the engine. So all this means lots more battery cables. I'm going to put some fusing in as well, so I'm going to go from the positive of the house battery or the start battery to a nice 100 amp fuse, which will be mounted right next to the battery, and then cable. So I'll need a cable from positive to this, and then from this into the switch cluster, and then also I'll be needing cables from the cluster to the alternator, which will need to be a pretty beefy one. Not a very big cable out of this because it's a 20 watt, it's pretty low ampage, and this has got some, there's 2.5 square mil cable connectors on here, and that'll have to do down into the back of this on smaller lugs or something. And while I'm at it, I might replace the terminal to the earth ones to the central earth on the engine, and also the cable to the starter motor. So anyway, cut a short story long. I am making up some battery cables. So I've got some cable here. I'm just about to strip off. I've got a bit of heat shield way back here so it doesn't shrink, and I'm going to cut this. There we go. Expose a bit of this cable. I've got a lug. There's my lug. There's my lug. That's going to go in there. There we go. Put that as upright as I can. I'm going to feed my cable down into that. But you know, I'm going to get my glasses. I just want to make sure that I do this well. There we go. Got get my glasses, where are they? No, I've only got sunglasses. It's been one of those rare days where the sun has been glorious. So let's get that in there. Okay. Right, and then I've got some solder. Put that under there. Right, some solder, and I've got a torch. And I'm going to put some solder on this so there's a really good connection in there. I don't know if I can. I don't think there's much I can do with that. It just is what it is. Right. I'm going to heat this up. Whoa! And to get that hot. There we go. There's some solder in it. I'll wait for that to cool down. I think actually I might be able to push that down a bit further in now. I've got some solder into it. And warm it up. That's about as far as it's going in. Right, let's let that cool. Then I'll turn it round, bit of solder on the other side, and I'll pull my heat wrap down and give it a little bit of heat and shrink the heat wrap. That's my favourite bit. It's cooling. That's the patient bit. Only got water tonight. Should have a nice cold pint of Thatcher's. Probably not good to mix cider and flame though, is it? Really. Right. It's good. There we go. Right. Something very satisfying about the heat torch. By the time I bought the heat torch and everything, it probably would have been cheaper to go and buy some battery cables ready made up, but I kind of wanted a heat torch for a while anyway. For all those obstinate nuts that you find on a boat. You can heat the nut and not the shaft of the nut, not the bolt, then pretty good. That's alright. Then it helps you free off the nut. Right. Good. Now let's let that cool a bit. Don't be hasty. Don't be hasty, Jamie. Wait. Pleased with that one. That's not a bad one. Here's the other end I did a bit earlier. Look. It's not bad, is it? It's all right. Then bit of Vaseline over that when you pop it on its terminal, and should exclude the oxygen. Oh, look, I've got my glasses. Right. Haha, I can see. Oh, you're all very beautiful. Right, here we go. Let's get this heat. This heat shrink that I bought is a little bit too small really for this cable. It's a bit tight to begin with. So by the time you've heated the cable, it's a struggle to get it down over the lug, but you can do it. A little bit of spit helps. Okay, let's get it down over. Yes. Right, there we go. That's got the heat shrink in place. Now I've got to be careful because this is maybe a bit over. I've got a paint stripping electric heat torch, which would be a much better heat for doing this. Oh, she goes already. Look. Lovely. There's another really good connection. So that's cool as well. Quite satisfying making up your own battery cables. Don't know why that should be, but it is. And I'm a little bit unsure, maybe you could leave a comment and give me a hint, of whether I should be crimping the cable on before I tin it, or afterwards. This one I haven't crimped on, and it's solid. But this end I crimped the connector on, and then I put solder into it, which actually seems like a better idea. But I might try and crimp this down now with my crimp tool. So there we go. This is a massive cable. I don't need it to be this long to begin with. I think I'm probably going to need something like that to go from my fuse over to my battery, and then I shall leave the other bit. I'm not sure how long I need that to be, or quite where I'm going to site my switches. So I can't make up all the cables tonight, which is annoying, and it's one of the frustrating things with having a boat that's so far away, is that you start a project, you think, oh, I just need some measurements, and you can't just get your measurements. But there, lovely, lovely, eh? Quite pleased with that. Right, cheers for watching. There'll be more videos over the weekend as I get down to the boat and put all this lot in there and get it all wired up. Cheers.